Hey, Saracen here for Mistake Monday, and I talked about learning the rudiments and playing with the metronome and not just practicing speeding up and whatnot. And I want to talk about metronomes for a minute. And so when I was young and grew up, when I started taking lessons, I had a snare drum. I had this practice pad that the Gladstone type pad where it covered the drum and it had a raised center. And I also, when I was young, had a little slanted piece of wood with rubber on it. So the metronomes that we had available to us back then, reasonably priced type metronomes, were little tiny ones that, like a piece of made of wood or something like that. There probably were plastic ones out there. You wound them up and you slid this weight, if you want to call it that, on this rod, and it created a pendulum effect, and it made a metronome. And as the thing, as you wound it up, as it got where it was running out of power or whatever, it would start to keep uneven time. So it wasn't great, but it was what was available at the time. And then for drummers, that became very difficult, especially when you shifted to the drum set, because you just could not hear it. Okay, they did have some that came out with a light on them, but this was not affordable to the average student or whatnot. And then they came out with one that had a dial on it, and it had an earpiece that went into one ear, kind of like the old AM radio type things. And that was better because you could hear, but it's still, if you were jamming on a drum set, it made that very difficult to hear because you couldn't control the volume. You could just put an earpiece in it. Over time, metronomes got better and better, especially when it came to the 80s, because drum machines and things like that became popular, and then you could have access to programming. I think the click tracks in the studios and everything got better at that point. Nowadays we have phones and whatnot, and I'm going to move that out of the way. But the big thing is we have things like the Tamagotchi or the Dr. Beat, and there's no excuse for, between your phone and your laptop or your computer, not having access to every type of metronome there is out there, with headphones that you can plug in, even wireless headphones. You can tune it up as loud as you need to and whatnot, and run it through an amplifier if you need to. So there's no excuse not to have a metronome now. I use the Dr. Beat quite a lot. Okay, I have it on the, I call it the anvil sound. Now you could put that on every beat. I just have it on the quarter notes for right now with a click. The Dr. Beat is cool because you can subdivide and push the 8 notes up, push the triplets, the 16th note, sorry. And of course, I can take the anvil away, the total volume, the quarter only. I can, I've got the anvil set to click on 1. So anyway, my point is you can set that up where you can hear it on every beat. It's often used in marching and whatnot. I like this a lot. They're not cheap, but this is used a lot because it can be programmed if you want to get into that. But there's no excuse not to find a metronome that you can hear now. So this is not so much a Mistake Monday. In other words, say that there are so many things that are available to you now that weren't available when I was young. So to not practice with a metronome is almost criminal now compared to what it was back in the day. Oftentimes what we would do as a drum set player is just put on some kind of music and try to stay with that music. And a lot of the music back then wasn't necessarily perfectly in time either. Some of the Zeppelin stuff is not perfectly in time. If you go back and listen to some of the Chicago stuff, it's not perfectly in time. There's little pushes and pulls there. The Stones, a lot of that, I think Honky Tonk Women might be a good example. And Brown Sugar, if you listen to what they start and what they finish, they're not exactly the same. But we would learn to stay in time with the recording. That was sometimes our metronome. And if that's what you have, just practice anything, playing beats, exercises, and everything with some kind of thing that is in time. But again, with telephones and computers and everything like that, cell phones, you have access to apps and everything that have perfect metronomes that you can sync up to wireless headphones. You can put it through an amp and turn it up, everything, so you can hear no matter what you're doing now. So don't make the mistake of not practicing with a metronome. Get on it.